Wow. These squash are looking beautiful. Definitely getting close to being ready. That one especially. I think they need to go quite a reddy orange. Got quite a nice little harvest to come from those. Beautiful. Now, what's Mr. W up to? Oh, he's got Poppy with him. And this is Scylla's favourite place at the moment, snuggled up in the netting. What have you been up to, Mr. Wilson?
Well, I was just looking here, look. We have French beans that are on the way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's not going to be too long.
Good. Let me see if I can get a bit closer.
And when you consider just
I see your tail, Poppy.
how late these went in, it's really pleasing to see that we're actually now going to start to get a harvest. We've got more flowers coming on these ones on that side.
White lady, yes, yeah.
Even the Lady Di, look, they've got their red flowers now, so
coming.
hopefully not too long.
And they've grown as tall as you, that one next to you is.
Yeah, it's getting there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We've had just the right sort of weather conditions for them, haven't we?
We have. Don't feel too sorry for us, because we have got a TP over there. We realised that when the peas were just taking that bit longer and these were going to be very late going in, we actually put some runner beans over there. So we have had a taste of runners this year, haven't we?
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Which is really great. Now, it's cooled down a bit now this evening. It's been quite warm here today and quite humid, hasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Here in Norfolk. So, welcome back to our garden. It's lovely to see you all once again. And in today's programme, you've seen earlier in the year where we started the curing process for our alliums that were harvested back in July. But now, it's time to prepare those to go into storage in order that we can enjoy all that lovely allium taste for the rest of this year and indeed well into 2024. So here underneath our composting bays, you can see where the onions are. Just behind there are also the shallots, which I shall get out very shortly. So you can see just how warm it's been here. We've had a sort of a wipe your brow towel up here. Now, it really has been quite humid here today. You can see that where the garlic is, look there, nice and crispy now, so we can now start to prep them so that they can go into storage and not be up here. These are brune, of course. We only harvested these the other week, didn't we? So
it was last weekend, wasn't it?
It was last weekend, wasn't it? You're right. It was on last weekend's video, wasn't it? So, you know, they're still 2 or 3 weeks away before we can do anything about those. But these lovely shallots that we have, they're lovely and crispy, and so we can start to just prep those and get those into their final destination baskets, ready to go in storage. And looking at this, Mrs. W, I think the onions are there too, look.
Yes, they're looking quite dry now, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've been there a few weeks now,
Yes.
so.
And what you are looking for, of course, is that most of the moisture has gone from here. If you put this into storage when they're still quite wet, then that can obviously let disease, mould and all sorts of nasty things in, which will eventually rot your onion. So what you do want is for everything to be lovely and crispy. Just like these. Now I think we'll go down towards the house to do these, shall we?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, why not?
And yeah, let's take the viewers to a part that they don't very often see. Now, here we are down in the other part of our garden where we don't normally film. This is our family part of the garden. There's some lawn just behind us, and this is a recent area that we've actually turned into a different use. Now, our chickens actually used to be around here. We had to put them into flock down, didn't we, Poppy? Hey, can you get through there? We had to put them into flock down, didn't we, eh? And obviously quite strict DEFRA rules, and we needed to abide by that. But they've been back to their normal free-range cells, and you like to let them out in the evening, don't you? Just to let them have a bit of a rootle and a tootle. There's a pig in it. What do chickens do? Scratch around.
Scratch.
And then they find their way back into their home. Now, they have actually been moved up to the other end of the garden. And as we're filming about there, you'll see them. You'll probably hear them, because they do like to let you know when they've had that proud moment of laying their eggs.
They announce the arrival.
But I guess just like you guys, we also have projects that we need to get underway during the year. It's not all about sowing and planting vegetables when you have your own garden, and this is one such thing. So we've repurposed this, and it's really quite a nice area. This is actually a fire pit. You can't see underneath it, obviously, because we've got this cover on it to stop all this falling down. But this is something that Mrs. W bought me for my birthday. It's a nice fire pit, but we can also use it as a barbecue, can't we?
Yes.
And it has a rotisserie, which is really quite lovely. We still have our old barbecue, which is just behind Mrs. W. So when we do have the family around here, and there's lots to be able to barbecue, we've got the big barbecue behind there. You can see Mrs. W has put her plants around here. These are absolutely amazing. I don't know if any of you have tried chard. If you haven't tried that yet, it really is quite... Not only does it taste really quite nice, but it's absolutely fantastic to look at. The colours are just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And then, of course, well, Mrs. W does like her tomatoes, so there here we've got an outdoor cucumber. It has actually got some cucumbers on it. These San Marzano are doing quite well, aren't they?
Yes.
So,
yes, they are.
Yeah. And ultimately what we want to be able to do is to maybe have a smaller version of the salad bar that we have up there in this area, so that when we are creating dishes and cooking around here, we can have easy access to nice fresh herbs, salads, whatever else we may want to use. But anyway, I'm sure you'll see how this evolves over the coming 12 months. What we are here to do is to actually prep these shallots. Now, these are the Jamour, and they actually produce some really nice large bulbs, didn't they?
They did.
They are fantastic.
Not as big as the
Zabroon.
Zabroon. Yeah, not as big as the Zabroon that we've grown, but
No, but these are a lovely shallot, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
We have had a sneak try of one or two while they were still wet. But I can feel that the top is now nice and crispy. So I've got this here because I'm going to put the bits that I snip off into there, because these are nice browns for your compost. So all we do is snip the top off, and I like to just take not all of the roots off, but just so that not too many dangling about. Just give them with your thumbs and fingers. You can see most of the soil has come off of that, and that will store quite happily. Hopefully you can see in the top there, that's not wet anymore, that's dry, and that's exactly what you're looking for when you want to put these things into storage. And all we do is actually set them into these, I'm sure you've all seen these sort of mushroom containers that you can get when you go to buy your mushrooms.
We're quite lucky because our neighbour regularly buys
Yes.
mushrooms, so
Yes, she does,
passes
doesn't
the
she?
containers on to us,
Yes.
which is good.
They stack
Thank you,
nicely
Karen.
too. Now, when you get things like this, obviously shallot split, that's one of the sort of things that make them such a valuable crop. You plant one and you get several shallots. And at this point now, what I would do is just separate that away from the main shallot plant. Again, just snip that off. The roots aren't on that, and in he can go there. And then the main plant, again, we just... And you can hear as I'm doing this that, you know, the skins are nice and crispy. So all I do is just do this with my hands. Any of the loose skins then come off. Actually, the whole bulb is really nice and dry. And what we do have up the top there still are 20 Jamour bulbs and 20 Longor bulbs, which we shall use very shortly, actually, probably in about 5 to 6 weeks' time, to replant into the ground to give us this harvest for next year. And you don't treat those any different to you are to these. The only difference is that I shall leave them up there once I've done this to them, rather than putting them into our shed where they will store over winter. And you know, it really is great. You know, you look at the price of these bulbs, you know, I'm going to pay a fair bit of money just for 10 of these bulbs. But actually, 10 of those bulbs are likely to produce, well, at least 40, because you normally get...
Yeah. Well, some of those ones we harvested this year had sort of 8 and 9.
They did,
from
didn't
one
they?
bulb,
Yeah, they
didn't
did. They absolutely did.
So,
And in that first year, if you just eat 30 of them and keep 10 back, or just eat 20 of them, keep 20 back, you can increase your bulbs, and you've got free shallot bulbs for the rest of your gardening life. We've been doing this for a number of years with the Jamour, haven't we?
yes. Yeah.
So you can see here's another one with the Longor. That's just, so let's just take him off there. Stick the top, take any roots off that are there, and put that into there.
You should always be careful not to damage the root.
The basil plate,
Basil
yes.
plates.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, you can the wispy
Yeah.
sort of dried roots you can trim off, but don't
Yeah.
cut into the bottom of it.
Yeah, you're quite right. Not following the script correctly, am I? So you can see we're going to have a fair few of these. And from this basket here, this is just the Longor. One thing I did see, which was in this one down here, which I just wanted to show you, is that, yeah, you want to be doing this so they're ready to be stored. If you actually put them into a bag just like that, that would be fine. That's not really going to take too much harm. When you want to use them in the kitchen, of course, you've got to take all that off, which can become quite messy. These are ready to use. But another very good reason for going around and doing that and going through your basket. Here is one which looks really quite ill.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's never going to store, and actually if you don't get rid of it out of the basket, that rotting is going to spread to the rest of your stock, which is something we don't want. So again, it's a really good idea to go through your bulbs. In much the same way, in the last video, we harvested the rests of our potatoes, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a good idea periodically to go through those, because they can do the same thing. You put the potato in there, you know, all in good faith. It was all really quite nice, but actually it could develop some real nasty mould and disease while they're in the bag. And if you go to those in a couple of months' time, you could find that you've got then several potatoes that have been infected with the same thing. And that would be such a shame. After all the time you took nurturing those plants along to give you that harvest. So I think we'll continue to do these, Mrs. W, and then we'll move on to some garlic.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you a hand.
Lovely. We actually got 3 trays of onions out of that, didn't we?
We did, lovely big trays, yeah.
Yep, plus a whole mushroom box tray of garlic. So got plenty of that, which is really great. So really all that's left for us to do now is the zabroon. Once they have finished curing, and they're getting there, that's still not ready for us to be able to do what we've just done to the other shallots, onions and garlic. And of course we have the sets left that we're going to grow for next year. And if you remember, I selected the largest bulbs that I could find ready for replanting. And all you need to do is just snip the top off.
Yeah, you don't need to take the roots off when
No.
you sow, when you plant them into the ground, do you?
No, it won't hurt them if you do, but in general, yeah, you don't tend to take those roots off. They can stay on there.
Have you got the garlic there for next
Yeah,
year's garlic? Yeah, oh yeah.
yeah, here's
All tangled up.
there's the garlic.
They look really lovely big cloves in there, don't they?
Yeah, they do, yeah. And again, just take off the top, which will then enable you to get the papery outer sheath off and let you get access to the cloves.
Not quite yet though. When do we do that? Is that sort of September, late September, October time we sow those?
Yeah, usually the beginning of October is when we look to do that. So they've got another good month to, well actually more than that actually. No, it probably is a good month, isn't it? 5 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
We're almost at the end of August, aren't we? So
Yeah.
yeah, it won't be long before the whole cycle starts all over again. What we shall do, now we're in the second half of the month, we shall be sowing our onions that we're going to overwinter, and we shall also be sowing some spring onions that we're going to overwinter. I do hope you have a really great gardening week, and we shall see you on the next one.